Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk about network security in cloud. To start with, let's identify what are the main access patterns to it. First of all, networks in cloud are virtual networks. There are no wires, no direct connections like you would have in your data center. Even if it's your internal network, which is connected through VPN, or it's access done by your engineering teams, it will always go through internet. And in general, we identify two main types of traffic. First type is so-called north-south traffic. It's the traffic that comes from external users, which comes from usually from internet, and this traffic goes to your publicly available resources. And for example, it can be access to your APIs or to your web pages and so on. Another type of access is called east-west traffic, and east-west traffic, it comes from other internal networks of your company via transit gateways, peerings, VPNs, and so on. In general, when considering traditional approaches to network security and network topology, we were thinking mostly about perimeter of the network. We were dividing networks to untrusted network, which is in most cases internet. Then so-called demilitarized zone. It might be your public subnet, so this part of your network that is available to internet and to external traffic. And then there is a firewall, and behind firewall there is internal network. An internal network is called trusted network, so the resources that are in this network are trusted. But since clouds evolve fast, and there are now so many different types of devices, of a lot of resources that are shared, and there are now way more types of attacks. So in general, it's now not secure to think that resources in your internal network are trusted. Instead, there is another concept, and another concept is called zero trust concept. So we don't trust anything by default, whether it's an outside network or in your internal network. And in zero trust, there are two other concepts. One is least privilege access, which comes to the point that each and every resource should have as little as possible access to other resources, only those access that is really required. And additionally, the concept of microsegmentation. When talking about microsegmentation, we try to achieve that segmentation, like from security perspective, segmentation of the network is as large as possible, as granular as possible. And what is segmentation? How to achieve this? First of all, obviously, we have just straightforward networking approaches, such as dividing into networks, subnets, in cloud, and then there are other mechanisms in the network, such as, for example, network access lists, where we can limit the IPs or CIDR blocks that can access a particular subnet. But microsegmentation, it's even more, because on a more granular level, we have security groups, and security groups would allow us to limit the access into a particular instance or egress traffic from the particular instance, again, based on the network IPs, network CIDR blocks, etc. And additionally, it allows us to limit ports. But all of these are mechanisms on networking layer, right? We always, using this mechanism, we always talk about IPs, CIDR blocks, and ports. However, there are other mechanisms as well. And another mechanism that is a part of microsegmentation concept, it's IAM or role-based access controls. And this is very powerful. And it's already not strictly about the network. It's more about access control, but it's already used as a part of zero trust concept as well. So what is role-based access control? In role-based access control, we assign roles to each and every actor in the network, whether it's a user or it's an instance or a service. They all have own roles and each role has permissions assigned. So to access any other resource or any service, the particular role should have permissions. And this is a very powerful mechanism of controlling access in cloud. Moreover, there is another big advantage of using IAMs or role-based access controls, and this is the audit perspective. Because all access can be logged, we know what role is assigned to what kind of instance or user, and each and every access is logged. So we know well who and when has accessed what kind of resource. Okay, and now let's talk also about firewalls. Because in general, when talking about cloud networks, we have two types of firewalls. One type is web application firewall, and additionally network firewalls, and they are quite different. Web application firewall usually protects your public resources. It acts on the 7th layer of OSI model, and it's about mostly your web traffic. So it allows to protect from quite diverse kind of attacks, including SQL ingestion, including malicious bots, and so on. Additionally, it can provide you mechanisms for rate limiting and other useful features. And as said already, usually web application firewalls are on the border of your public and private networks. However, there is another kind of firewalls, which is network firewalls. Network firewalls usually work with network protocols. It's level 3, 4, maybe 5 of OCI model. And these firewalls are already used, can be used both for external traffic and for internal traffic as well. So depending on the level of security that needs to be achieved, we can add network firewalls to control traffic, for example, between your networks or between your subnets internally. And there are different kinds of topologies that can help with it. I will mention only one that is very popular, is hub and spoke topology. And hub and spoke topology is topology that defines a central hub, and all other networks are connected to it. And central hub is a central place of interconnectivity. So central hub, it allows to have connections between networks, but also to access internet, for example. So it's a central place of having NAT gateways. What we achieve having this central hub is that we can put network firewalls into it, and we can control all the traffic that goes between your other internal networks, and additionally traffic that goes to and from outside. Moreover, we can have a central place of logging the network activity, and this also in the hub network. And additionally, from government's perspective, it is accessed only by special teams, only by security and networking experts who have access to it. That's it for today. I have talked about network security in cloud. I've mentioned firewalls and also the traditional concept of demilitarized zone, as well as a modern concept of zero trust. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.